In this video, we're going to learn all about stage fright. If you've ever had to speak in public, or maybe play an instrument for an audience, then you've probably encountered stage fright. It can be a terrifying experience where you feel like your body is betraying you and you can't even perform basic functions like talking normally or touching your instrument without your hand shaking. So in this video, we're going to talk about stage fright. What is it? I'm going to give you some of my own personal terrifying stories with stage fright. Yes, I have stage fright. And then I'm going to teach you the hard-won strategies that I've learned over the years for mitigating the symptoms of stage fright and giving a successful performance. My goal is that by sharing my own pretty embarrassing stage fright stories and then the strategies I learned from those experiences, that it will help you in your own life, whether it be public speaking or playing an instrument in public. I've been performing since at least the age of 9, and from choreographing a dance to perform at the talent show in 4th grade, to playing in metal bands in high school, all the way to touring around the world today to play concerts on early plucked instruments and classical guitar. I've played more concerts than I can count at this point, but one thing is for sure, I've been scared every time. So the first thing you should know is that stage fright is a completely normal reaction to kind of a weird event, For example, this beautiful, pristine recital hall. Beautiful reverb, but imagine all of these seats full with people dead silent looking at you, and there you are on stage realizing you didn't practice enough and you're not sure what the next measure is, and maybe a bad noise will come out. We're worried about embarrassment, and because we care, we can freak out. So all of my colleagues and I get nervous before we walk out on stage. No matter how many concerts you've given, it's normal. Okay, here's my first embarrassing stage fright story. I was playing one of the biggest concerts of my life. There were 4,000 people in the audience. It's at a well-known performance hall with a very prestigious ballet company. We had 10 shows and the performance was downtown. In one of those shows, the traffic was so bad that I couldn't get to the venue, and I ended up walking in about 1 minute before we were supposed to start. My heart was beating out of my chest, I was sweating, and I thought I was going to miss the show. So I was so terrified that I grabbed my instrument. I was playing theorbo and baroque guitar, and I had to quickly tune them, run out there. Everybody was worried. And the thing was, I had 2 big solos in this concert with a microphone right here and super loud amplification. So everything I did was very audible. Well, it came around to my solos, and I was so nervous. My heart was still beating so fast. I was still sweating from thinking I was going to miss the concert. I just couldn't calm down. And when it came time to play my solos, which had gone fine every night before, and when I brought my hand up to the instrument to touch the fretboard, it shook every single time. And I couldn't see myself playing, because how can you play when your hand won't stop shaking? I couldn't actually play my solo exactly as written because I couldn't do a good bar chord because of the shaking. And it freaked me out. I improvised something else, and to this day, I have no idea how it went. My colleagues assured me it wasn't that bad, but in my mind, it was a nightmare. I thought it couldn't have gone any worse, and I just bowed my head in shame. And after the concert, I was going to go up to the conductor and apologize for what happened. But before I could, something very surprising happened. One of the musicians pulled me over to the front to introduce me to someone in the front row in the audience. And they said, "Hey, this is Brandon. That was my favorite part of the show he just played." And I honestly thought she was lying. And when I finally realized she was being sincere, it occurred to me that I think I had made this so much worse in my head than it was in reality. So my first lesson for you is your subjective experience of how things are going on stage is so much different than what the audience actually perceives. And most of the things that you consider mistakes, they're not even noticing. More on that later, but let's get into the details. What is stage fright? Stage fright is essentially a psychological false alarm. We evolved on the African savanna where we were chased by lions and had constant threats of actual predators who might eat us. And our fight or flight instinct is a good one to have if you're going to survive when you're being sought out by predators. So when you think you're about to be attacked by a predator, your whole body goes into fight or flight mode, and it's actually a good panic response, which is sort of an emergency alarm system where you need to run and fight for your life. The problem is, that same evolutionary instinct is triggered when this very room can be filled with 300 people all watching me on stage. In that moment, I look out there and I think of those people as lions ready to eat me. And therefore, I stop breathing. My hands become clammy, sweaty, maybe they're shaking. I feel like I can't swallow or speak. It can be a terrifying experience. Step 1 is acknowledging that it's a false alarm. These aren't lions ready to eat you. These are nice people who want you to do well and just want to hear good music. What we need is a skill set to mitigate these symptoms and teach our mind that actually there is no danger, there is no threat, and I can calm down, relax, and just enjoy my concert. And before I give you those tools that I've learned, here's my second embarrassing stage fright story. It was very early in the morning, and I was playing for an audience of about 400 people. I was playing my transcription of a beautiful aria by Handel, Ombre mai fu. Such a beautiful, celestial, and consonant piece, a very beautiful piece. There's no jarring sounds in it. And while I was playing, suddenly I heard the worst sound come out of my guitar. And the worst part is it was a super reverberant church, so that sound reverberated for 6 seconds outward, and all I wanted to do was grab it and hide it. But it was too late, and the sound was out, and 400 people were hearing it, and I was so embarrassed. Then I shrunk in my chair and tried to finish the piece through tension, and I was so stiff that I could barely play, and I was just praying that I could just get to the end without falling apart. And again, I finished playing, I bowed my head in shame. Coincidentally, my twin brother was in the audience, and afterward I came to him and I said, "Can you believe what happened?" And he said, No, wait, you have to know. Seconds after you made that terrible, jarring sound, the person sitting next to me leaned over and said, "Isn't it amazing how he never makes mistakes?" And again, I was in disbelief. This was such an obvious mistake. How could this person not have heard it? And that probably means many other people in the audience didn't hear this thing that I considered a nightmare level mistake. That's when I started realizing that the audience isn't there to tally up your mistakes. They're not counting the number of notes you got right and wrong. They're not considering you a robot who plays perfectly. You're a human, they want to hear beautiful music, they want you to do well, and they don't know the piece. So when you're playing or you're speaking, they don't know what you're going to say or play. So if you play something different, perhaps they won't even realize what it was supposed to be in the first place. So for them, it makes no difference. The important takeaway here is stay confident, know that no one is perceiving your performance in as much detail as you are, and therefore just keep going. And the second the mistake happens, it's already in the past. You're driving along, you hit a pothole, you're already driving forward. You can't crash the car because of one pothole. It's in the past, and all you do is you keep on going forward, you smile, you breathe, and you finish the piece. In both of my worst stage experiences, I learned that for me it was a nightmare, and for everybody else it was actually fine. So my first lesson to all of you is keep playing, smile, and enjoy it, because the people are as well, and they want you to do well. If you're enjoying today's free guitar tip, I wanted to let you know this is just a short clip taken from my online classical guitar course called Classical Guitar Pro. There you'll find 8 hours and 110 videos of HD multicam footage. There are PDFs, quizzes, a simulated recital at the end, and you'll even get direct feedback from me. So if you're ready to seriously transform your playing, stop scrolling through YouTube and take this course, because everything is laid out there in a proper curriculum for you. The link is in the description. For now, let's get back to the video. The next thing I want to discuss is perhaps the most important skill you can ever discover for handling stage fright, and that is breathing. For me, nerves or stage fright starts at the level of the breath. And the second I'm anxious and I think that the lion is going to eat me, I stop breathing. Perhaps I shrink up, and perhaps my bad posture doesn't even help me breathe because my lungs can't expand, and I start taking shallow breaths. And then literally not enough oxygen is getting to my brain, alarms are going off, we're shutting down. Then your hands are sweating, you get more and more tense, and the worst part is the more tense you get, the more you think something wrong is happening, and then more physiological symptoms will happen, and it's a vicious circle from there. So when you're about to perform or give a public speech, the first thing to do is to get a hold of your breath and start breathing with the following exercise. I learned the following from Mark Manson's YouTube channel. So you breathe in for 4 seconds. And you swell up your belly as big as you can. Then you hold for 6 seconds. 2, 4, 5, 6. And then out for 7. Do that with me one more time. In for 4. Hold for 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out for 7. I don't know about you, but I feel better instantly just after 2 breaths. I do this for 5 to 10 minutes before I go out on stage, and even when I'm on stage for the first 5 minutes, and it helps me greatly. If you can get a hold of your breath, doing these slow breathing exercises tells the brain everything's fine, there definitely is no line. Another tip I use is I eat a banana before I go out on stage. I was told this one all the way back in high school choir, and I started doing it then. I really felt that I was more relaxed. I heard it was something about the potassium, but I'm no doctor, and I can't tell you if this is a placebo or not. All I can tell you is that before I go on stage, if I'm nervous and I think the banana is making things better, I'm very happy to have my placebo. My next big discovery goes along with the idea of controlling your breath, and that is learning how to do mindfulness meditation. Using apps like Waking Up, Calm, or Headspace, I started listening to guided meditations before performing. Anxiety exists in the future. I'm worrying about what might happen and in my head thinking about all the ways it can go wrong and ridiculous fictional ways that are impossible, terrible things that'll never happen, and then I'm getting scared and I can't breathe and my hands are sweating, and then I walk out on stage and I'm a mess. However, if you learn to bring yourself to the present, you won't go to that place, you won't entertain those ridiculous fictional thoughts, and you won't get so nervous. Likewise, if you dwell on the past, on that one time my hand was shaking, or when I played this terrible chord and can't trust my body, dwelling on those bad memories might scare me. But bringing myself to the present is the solution always. This is a good solution in life, you guys. Mindfulness meditation has changed my life for the better. So I'd strongly recommend adopting this practice in your life. It involves a lot of mindful breathing, actually. So using breathing exercises to essentially bring yourself to the present and not let yourself be taken by these random thoughts and allow them to occupy your mind and believe this bad chatter, basically. The next thing I learned was to avoid distractions. This also kind of goes into the being present and mindful thing, but specifically this skill set is all about focusing on the most important thing, putting the spotlight of your consciousness on your playing, on making beautiful sounds, on singing through your guitar, or speaking well. If I'm playing, distractions, for example, could be thinking, ooh, that was a little buzzy, everyone noticed. Oh, now they're thinking that was buzzy. Oh, how embarrassing, and now I can't really play because all I'm doing is thinking, oh, that person in the front row heard my buzz and they're thinking, what a bad player. Thinking about what they might be thinking is a distraction. Or you walk out on stage and one person looks very upset and you think, oh, that person doesn't like me. Oh, why don't they like me? Is it how I'm dressed? If you're thinking about how that person is thinking, again, you will not be able to play well. Another distraction is dwelling on past mistakes. So you're playing and everything's going fine. And then a bad thing happens, and you're so focused in thinking about how did that happen? What did I play? I played a A sharp instead of a B natural. And while I'm thinking about all that, I'm sabotaging the next event. So the first mistake occurred, and then 2 measures later, you're still thinking about it, and therefore you're not playing well, and you make another one. And then it snowballs, and suddenly you can't even play a piece you've played 100 times. By constantly putting yourself in the present, thinking about this next note is so beautiful, play this next part, oh, I love that moment. Okay, here comes my favorite part. Here we go again, the minor part now. Oh, it's so sad, it's beautiful. I'm singing through my guitar. I love this part. By focusing on the events, the actual thing you're doing, whether it be phrasing, playing legato, singing through your instruments. And for me, they make the audience sort of disappear. It's just me on stage with my instrument in the zone, in that flow state, and not entertaining that mental chatter, sometimes called the monkey mind, and instead being present, maybe focusing your breath or what you're playing, centers you and allows you to play at your absolute best, even in high-pressure situations. And lastly, by far, the thing that will help you the most in a public speaking event or in a musical performance is preparation. Nothing can beat preparation. So over-prepare. Know when you're in practice mode and you're just repeating one measure at a time very slowly to solve a problem, and know when you're in performance mode, when you're actually playing through the whole piece and never stopping due to mistakes. Record yourself and listen back. Play for one friend. Play for them over Zoom. Because when you walk on a stage and you know you can only play the song well 50% of the time, that is genuinely terrifying. So over-prepare. In the end, remember that mistakes don't matter so much, guys. I make them all the time. I've never given a perfect performance. I've always done a buzz, a slightly missed note, something that I didn't enjoy in every single performance because I'm human. And that's totally okay. The audience doesn't perceive most of these things. And what's most important anyway is telling a story through your instrument, playing something beautiful that moves your audience emotionally. They don't care about your technique. They don't care if your finger was slightly on the right side of the fret. They just want to be moved and have a good time. But that starts with you preparing, doing breathing exercises, avoiding distractions, and most importantly, having fun. Because if you're having fun and you're enjoying yourself, I guarantee you the audience will be too. I have some further reading I want to mention that might help you guys. But before I mention that, I think it's important to tell you that even though I've played probably more than 1,000 concerts at this point, and I do it for a living, I haven't solved stage fright. I still get nervous when I walk out there. But using all of these skills and strategies that I've learned, now I feel the butterflies, and I know that's okay, that's normal. And I try to use that electricity and funnel it into the passionate performance. And sometimes my nerves get the best of me and I don't play as well as I'd like to. And sometimes I'm more calm and I feel very in control. It's a process, so don't feel bad the next time you get nervous. Instead, just implement these strategies and start practicing these skills I've given you. So 2 books you could check out. One is Performance Success by Don Green. This is a really good book that helped me, that involves a lot of exercises. And then there's also Playing Your Best When It Counts by Dr. Bill Moore. Both of these books involve a lot of writing and exercises and thinking about what is stage fright, what are nerves, and how can we overcome them. So I really hope this video has helped you go out there, practice these skills, and give some great moving performances. See you guys. I really hope that you enjoyed today's free guitar tip. I just wanted to remind you that this is just a small sample from an 8-hour course called Classical Guitar Pro. So many guitarists spend their time scrolling through miscellaneous videos on YouTube thinking it'll make them improve. But what you really need is a proper gradual curriculum, and that's what I've made in Classical Guitar Pro. There's a beginner course, an intermediate course, and even a course for playing classical guitar without nails. Just head to the link in the description to visit the website and check out those courses. For now, take care, and I'll see you next time.